5:30. Let us begin. I will talk a little bit about some stuff that we've got going on in the garden here. And then you guys feel free, drop your questions, comments, anything in the chat. Of course, I'm accompanied by a nice cup of coffee. And let's get to this. A couple of videos that we have to make this week. We've got to make our beet video. We haven't gotten to it because, quite frankly, it did not feel good at all over the entire weekend. I was just like exhausted for some reason. So that was really a bummer. So I couldn't produce any videos that would have been then released on like Tuesday and Thursday, like today. But so I wasn't able to film them, but I do have the beet video coming out next, and that's going to be all about the beets that we grew in our garden, using a couple of non-conventional methods of succession planting and then not thinning out our seedlings either. So what we did with these beets was we took them, we grew them in the garden, and we succession planted them just like we normally would. So every couple of weeks you will sow your new seeds of beets. We did that, but then when growing our succession crops, what we didn't do was we didn't thin them out. We just let them all continually grow. So I sprinkled them along the soil. I would say every inch we maybe had 2 to 3 beet seedlings growing there. And what happened was when we harvest all of the full mature beets, those roots that are really growing exactly how we want them to, we harvest those out and leave all of the others thinning seedlings, these struggling seedlings. And when we do that, we get not only that very, very good fresh harvest, but we've also found that by keeping those seedlings still intact in the ground that we would have normally thinned out, those also continue to grow very normally under the circumstances that they're put in. So as soon as we pull out the big mature beet, they kind of fill in its place. They will be very stunted to begin with, but then we found that by keeping them growing there, we're able to then get a whole nother harvest without having to plant a new row, taking up more space in the meantime, and without having to sow any more seeds. So nothing was put to waste in this process, and that was very, very helpful to my overall gardening scheme when it comes to this fall's plantings, as well as next spring when we get our spring garden out there going in 2023. Let me head over to the YouTube channel, get some comments down over here. Recently, somebody commented on our growing strawberries indoors for winter video, saying that they've kept their lights on way too long. I started some bare roots with 18 hours of light. They are growing, but old leaves were getting scorched. I'm going to cut them back 8 to 12 hours and see what they do. Yeah, definitely. I found that strawberries were getting scorched when growing indoors as well. And so 8 to 12 hours will be plenty depending on what size of a grow light that you have, Clayton. If this is like in between a 600, say 3 to 600 watt grow light, then you would be just fine with that 8 to 12 hours. They don't require as much as you would think, especially when growing indoors, like for the winter, like I highlighted in my video. The type of conditions that we're trying to induce in those strawberries is basically the same as a very, very mild winter. So what we did with them is we put them downstairs in our basement where it is naturally a lot colder than it has been outside when those strawberries were growing. And then we also, I believe we did like a 10-hour cycle or something like that. But for that lighting cycle, we would reduce the amount of light as well. So these strawberry plants, we were trying to kind of induce a dormancy to them. so that they didn't get any sort of shock and were still in their natural rhythm when we planted them out the next spring, and they did exceedingly well. We have now like a whole half of a garden bed. Basically the whole thing, I would say at this point, has turned into strawberries, 4 by 5 foot section, just from planting those little babies, the runners of these strawberries, if you will. So strawberries are very prolific. We got lots of people worried about fungus lately. That fungi is causing them stress in both their pots, their gardens, indoors and out alike. The thing that I would say about fungi is that normally it is a very, very good indicator for your garden. You want to have fungi growing in it, but there's also a point when you don't want fungi growing, and that is when we're growing seedlings. The reason why we don't want the fungi to be growing is because that is going to be showing signs of an unfavorable environment for the seedlings to grow in. Hence, it's going to be too moist, possibly too cold, and the same things that cause our seedlings to die out can also be the same kind of conditions that cause that fungi to grow in the soil. So that's why we have to watch out for fungi when growing indoors and growing seedlings, is because we don't want our seedlings to keel over from that sort of environment. Not necessarily that the fungi itself is killing our seedlings. Those are two totally different things there. Our sunflowers are maybe, I don't know, 12 feet, 10, 12 feet right now. So they are doing very well. We're going to have I keep on saying it, a garden tour very soon in the future here. We're just about getting to the point where we would have to do that. Otherwise, a lot of our flowers in the garden are going to start dying back and going dormant as we get these colder temperatures at night. But otherwise, everything is growing very well. Sunflowers, doing great. We did the Pikes Peak sunflowers this year, as opposed to a lot of the mammoth sunflowers that we've grown in the past. Not as big of flower heads on them, but they are getting quite tall, so we'll see where they're at by the end of the season. Let's get some chat going. Drop your questions over in the chat bar down below. Some of y'all must have some questions. It's kind of awkward with this thing there than drinking coffee. I was using a 32 watt grow light and wondering why all of my seedlings are dying. Why would anybody even make a grow light that weak? Well, if all of your seedlings were dying, it might not only be because of the grow light, but there might also be some other conditions that we want to take a look at there when growing seedlings. It could be too cold, could be watering too much, could have not enough nutrients as well. New lights, why they manufacture 32 watt grow lights is because that there's actually quite a few indoor plants that are considered low light that you could grow using that grow light, but it's just not showing to be sufficient enough for your vegetable seedlings. That's all it is. Usually those 32 watt or the 60 watt like boom lights where they have the necks to them. Usually those lights will not be enough to grow vegetables, but you can grow a lot of indoor houseplants with those. In fact, when we started the channel, we had a lot of indoor content because we didn't have the outdoor space to grow whatsoever. So while I wanted to pursue this passion and dream of building a community of gardeners, all around the world. I knew I had to start somewhere, right? And so all I had was like this workbench that we created, me and my wife, as a fun project that we did together. And that was by an eastern facing window. And so it wasn't like the most ideal whatsoever, but we filled that thing up with plants and we made videos of the entire process, building kind of the base of how we started on this channel. And it really stemmed from mostly indoor content, which obviously now we're pivoting to more outdoor stuff, more self-reliant, more sustainable content, because that's where we are headed. That is our expedition homestead, if you will. Would Everclear or grain alcohol work for killing mealy bugs? Yes, just be careful. Make sure you wash it off your plants right away. And there might also be some plants that are a little bit more sensitive to that than rubbing alcohol, because that is just going to be such a high percentage. I think probably the best bet for that would be just to water it down. Take a look at the alcohol content to water ratio of our normal recipe, and then just make the same ratio of that. So you're just going to have a lot more water compared to using rubbing alcohol to kill those mealy bugs. What calcium should I get for my tomatoes? That is up to you, personal preference. I would say go local, start local first, see if there's any gardening companies or providers in the nearby area, perhaps in your state, to see if they make some calcium that you could get your hands on. If you can, that is going to be your best bet. 9 times out of 10, I recommend to go local whenever possible. I have had a couple of questions about the soil medium for propagating lavender. I have answered that question many, many times on the video. I'll answer it again, though. It's fairly simple. They actually don't care that much either. But a good ratio for them is just going to be 1/3 plain old soil. If you get like a potting soil, make sure it's not on the heavy side. So you're going to mix that soil with peat moss, or better yet, find a soil mixture that already has a lot of peat moss, and then mix in about 1/3 sand along with that. And that's how you propagate your lavender. Take your cutting right at the point where your softwood is becoming more of a hardwood, so it looks like it's starting to get a little bit of a bark appearance on it. Take that cutting right there. Preferably early spring is best. You can do this probably throughout early autumn, early fall, and you could get away with it. Stick that in the soil and then just keep it well watered for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, slowly reducing the amount of watering that you do from that point on. So perhaps you go to a once a week watering after that point. Check for roots within a month and a half, and if you don't have roots yet, your plant's likely drying up by that point and you didn't have a successful propagation of your lavender. But otherwise, if you got roots, awesome. It's a fairly easy plant to propagate. We've had very hot weather in UK this summer and very little rain. There's hosepipe bans. Hosepipe bans and a drought has been declared in a lot of areas, so a lot of plants are dying. Matt, can you tell us about the hosepipe bans? What does that mean? So you can't go and get a water pipe, or just drop the comment down below. I'd like to dive into that a little bit, and then maybe we can hop over to the tubes. Whoa! And see. Water pipe ban. UK. Wow. Yikes. Okay, it says 2% of the population in Wales is being hit with this hose pipe ban so far. How extensive that could be, who knows? Yikes. I'm sorry you have to be dealing with that, Matt. That's a bummer. You know, we're going through some cycle right now where a lot of things are changing pretty rapidly. I will say that on the record for sure. What we do from here on out as humans on this planet, I think, is fairly simple. When it comes down to it, it is how we choose to spend our dollars. That is going to be the deciding factor in how our world turns from this point on. We had a YouTube short that popped off this last week. It was on a cucumber that was getting too big. And apparently a lot of people took that as kind of a prude joke in a way. So unfortunately, I think a lot of the viewers that we attracted from that video, I don't know if they'll be long-term viewers or not, but it was fun nonetheless to get a video that hit 100,000 views in a few days. We got about 250 new subscribers on the channel from that, which was great. If it's your first time tuning in, welcome and thank you so much. You're not allowed to waste water by using hose pipes. I have a well-established basket willow in my garden that dropped all of its leaves. Oh, man. We've had 2 days of rain recently, so fingers crossed. Yes, our fingers and prayers will be sent to your way. We have basket weaving willows on this property as well, even though we have a small in-city lot. Right now at this point, we haven't gotten the big property, hoping in the next couple of years that we can do that. But even on this small 0.35 acre lot that we have right now, we've got all kinds of weeping willows growing and propagating. Big ones, I mean, the biggest willow propagation that you can find on YouTube is here on the channel, so check that out. And then we also have right next to me here, to the east side of the property, we have basket weaving willows. I think we have 5 of them that are in their, I would say, almost second year of growth. So this fall will be their second year of growth. They're just starting to get to the point where I can start pollarding them and cutting them way back down and maybe using them for product as the basket weaving willow they want to be. Then we have like elderberry bushes as well. We've just got some raspberries put in the ground. Several fruit trees, apple trees, pear trees. So we try and cram in a lot of stuff here. I'll tell you that much. All right, just going through some questions we've had. Do pine needles or coffee grounds lower soil pH? We had a question here on this video. It was a fairly controversial video, but this question asks, what if your tap water is very alkaline and it never rains? Can you use tap water with the elemental sulfur? Yes. Or would the alkaline water neutralize the sulfur? So with that, I would say beyond the elemental sulfur, which could help, we've got to establish our soil, right? So we've got to make this soil living. We have to create a very high bacteria content in that soil, very high fungi content in that soil. If we do those two things first, then what's going to come after that is going to be a well-balanced, pH balanced soil. So a little bit more of an alkaline soil should have some more fungus ratio compared to bacteria. The opposite is true. So if we look at making sure that we are inoculating fungi, we're turning in organic matter to that soil. I recommend when you either cut down your crops for the year, or if you have some extra clippings, cuttings, stuff that you pruned off of plants, whatever it might be, lightly turn that into the soil when you're transitioning from your spring to your summer crops. Then do that again when you're transitioning from your summer to fall crops. Turn your stuff into your soil, let it start breaking down as soon as possible, and that's going to create a very, very good environment for growing plants. The bacteria is in there consuming all that stuff. We got the microorganisms breaking it down. The fungi on top of that is just a complete added bonus. And something that helps with fungi is if we get a nice covering of wood chips over certain parts of our garden. I'm not saying now, I am not an advocate of just dumping wood chips everywhere, even though we do that here on this channel, because there's some scenarios where that's not going to be the right thing for you to do. So I'm not saying that, but I will say having wood chips in the garden and mulch in some way, shape, or form will help with your fungi content. But do those 2 or 3 things and your soil will balance itself out in terms of pH. Purslane. Any of you guys know about purslane? It is the most delectable weed in the world. I mean, like, not weed. Like lamb's quarters. Like you would pick this out of your garden. But purslane is thick, succulent. It's got the red stems. It is so good. Something that a lot of people have not tried. I very highly recommend growing it in some place in your garden where perhaps you get some purslane seeds and sow them, or whenever you see some purslane growing, you just let it be and let that expand out and start growing more in your garden, because this stuff is good. We've gotten a lot of comments on that video lately. Having a request for a lamb's quarters video. I'll try to get to that. I might not, just because of how busy we are right now. I've got videos stacked up already for the next couple of weeks. So adding in some videos at this point is hard, but I might just put it in a little clip of one of the videos that we do in the future for the chickens, because lamb's quarters is one of those weeds that we pick out of the garden and feed to our chickens right away. They love lamb's quarters. They love dandelion. They love all of the wild lettuces, wood violets, sorrel. They love all that kind of stuff, as well as like the little lettuce seedlings that we have popping up everywhere in our garden. We'll just rip all those out and throw those to the chickens. Any new viewers tuning in right now, just drop your questions or comments down in the chat. We will get to them as soon as they pop up. But as of right now, we're just going through the comments that our channel has gotten in the last couple of weeks and answering those questions that we've gotten there. We have a viewer from Southern California. It's hot, humid from all the stuff in the air. My lavender flowers are dried up. What do we do with the flowers? Amid, is it still good time for me to take cuttings? I think because I never took cuttings, some of my lavender pieces are turning black from the root up. They might have just died back from too cold of temperatures, or maybe not maintaining it enough. But as far as your lavender's flowers, if you want to cut those up at this point, great. They should still smell beautiful like always. I would say that taking your cuttings could help your plant in the future, or just cutting it back a little bit is definitely a good thing to do when growing rosemary, lavender, stuff like that. It helps establish a little bit more of a stronger base to that plant, and hence increasing its survivability later on. All right, I'll be right back. All right, back. Come on, guys, drop some questions in the chat. We are live here taking your questions. In the meantime, if you didn't know it, we've got a website. expeditionhomestead.org. Check it out. Tells a little bit about our stories. Gets you all of our social media platforms. Starting to work with a little bit of a blog section here. We just got one right now. It takes a lot of time, guys. Everything takes a lot of time. Life takes a lot of time. But then conveniently right here on this page, you see videos. You've got all of our videos here. We can scroll through all of them. Ooh, let's watch it. Look at that.
Hello and welcome to Expedition Home.
Awesome. Just like that, we've got a little mini player within the website. This is both desktop and mobile compatible. So we've got everything here. Meet the team. Tells you a little bit about our future goals and aspirations as an organization that we've now established. Good stuff on there. And if you want to contact us to both be on the YouTube channel for a live stream or perhaps a pre-recorded video where we just share your story, whatever it might be, send us a message here on the Contact Us section. We want to hear your stories. We want to see your gardens. We want to just share the good message that gardening provides to the community and to people around the world. Boop. And back in here. Hello, drop questions down in the chat. We are getting to every single one of them. Every single one of your questions will be answered. Just drop it down in the chat. Next videos that we'll be making, we're going to be making some on our willow tree propagation update. We propagated basically, I would say it's probably, maybe, the world's largest propagated willow. At least on YouTube it is. We just took a big old log, threw it in a bucket of water, and let it grow. And they are growing in our backyard as we speak. It's pretty awesome. I'm very excited for that. I wasn't sure what they would do, if they would grow or not, but sure enough, they are growing just fine. They're not having any issues. In fact, they would probably, I would say they grew better than some of the smaller cuttings that we've taken in the past. We're seeing a lot of growth from them, so it's awesome. Good stuff. Eight viewers. Let's see. Hit that thumbs up button and comment in the section down below. All right, some other comments. Trying to find some good comments over the last couple of weeks here. Oh, funny story I'll share with you. Funny story. So I got a comment earlier this week thanking me for the video, how straight to the point it was. They were very happy with their viewing session, right? They learned everything they came to learn, which was great. And they were very happy about it. So thank you, Juan, for that comment. Then I had a comment just a couple of days later going on and on about how I rant in my videos, how I just talk and talk and talk. And this is like a 5-minute video where I would say even in my 5-minute videos, my 6, 7, 8-minute videos, they're very straight to the point, very packed full of information there. Our 30-minute videos are usually a little bit more designed for the community, and our shorter videos are to get that sort of educational content out there. But I just thought it was very funny how this person was so immediately turned off to the channel just because of that one single video, but they don't realize we have a trove of like 485 videos ranging from under a minute, we've got our short videos, to over 30 minutes, we have our longer tour type videos and our professionally developed videos, longer length stuff, as well as just our vlog type content. We've got long videos. And so upon first inspection, a YouTuber might not always seem he or she might not always be as it seems. And so don't judge a book by its cover, because we produce a lot of different content here on the channel. And there's a lot of other YouTubers that I follow that also follow in those footsteps. The entire story that we share as a channel is not always going to deliver to an audience at one single given point. You know, you start to get a connection with us and who we are and what we're developing over many videos. We put little pieces of information in here and there in our videos that is essentially how we share our lifestyle and how we are living intentionally with the things that we do in our life. So it's not going to be that first 30-second introduction to the channel where you start to know me and you start to understand what our family stands for. But over time, you will see that you will understand what makes us tick as a family and what makes us tick as gardeners and why I do this, because it's a lot bigger than just me here on this channel. Love your videos, dude. Oh, what's up, dude? I've learned a lot. God bless you, man. I hope you and your family is doing well. We've been fairly sick frequently in the recent couple of months, but we're doing well. We're doing well. So thanks, man. Thanks for tuning in. I'm super happy that you're able to learn through the channel. Like I said, we got a ton of videos out here, so there's a little bit of something for everybody. Going further into the future, we're gonna time travel here to the year 2025. We have a couple of goats, if they're not too mischievous. We've got some pigs. We've got maybe I would say one head of steer, but then it's hard because you don't really want to get that type of an animal by itself. They do much better as a herd. So maybe we get a herd, maybe not. Depends on where we're living at the point. But then we start establishing fruit trees right away. We start getting all of our peaches. There is a peach variety that is hardy in this climate here in Zone 5B. Pears, all sorts of apple trees. we start growing our willow bonsais. We start growing elderberries just like we did here. Our perennial fruits like raspberries, blueberries, blackberries. Get all of those in. I think within no time we could have a very, very thriving spot where we can grow a lot more than we can here. We're able to produce the type of content that we want to, which is overall being able to grow everything you need for your family, plus a little bit of extra giving on the side within a couple of acres of land. So I ultimately, like a total blessing would be like 10 acres, but I don't know if we're going to get that or not. I would say anywhere between 2 and 5 acres. If we're able to show off what we can do with these 2 to 5 acres, I think it could impact a lot of people's lives. We could get our demonstration garden going on there. We could start developing different school programs surrounded by the garden, what we do in the garden, and what we do in the area. We're located in southeastern Wisconsin. Southern Sheboygan County is where we reside here. Love the area. Unfortunately, just like everywhere else, except for a couple of little tiny niche areas, land and property is quite expensive. So we are praying for continued blessings in our lives through God, that we're able to establish this homestead. And just looking at the numbers, I think we're there. I think we're definitely going to hit that point by 2025 here. And we are very, very thankful for this vision, this aspiration that we've been given to build this channel and build this organization to help the people around us. Excuse me. And it's so hard not to just smile when we think about where we're going in the future, just thanks to this small little idea that popped into my head 6 years ago. This fall, I think it was September, maybe, we went to Kentucky. The Creation Museum had some lilies that were growing in the garden, so lotus flowers. And the seed pods were sticking up, dried out. I was like, perfect. Oh, cool. I wonder if I could grow these. I didn't know if I could at the point, so that's why I hopped to YouTube. And when I did that, I realized, wow, I know I love gardening. I know I want to be able to teach people in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what it is yet. I'm not really sure. I wasn't sure if it would be entertainment through traditional teaching or through... Had no idea. Not even thought about gardening for any sort of income, let alone something that would take up my time like that, besides like just gardening for myself. And I thought, hey, why not make a video on growing these seeds? Because when I was on YouTube, I just couldn't find very many valuable videos that also had like a person behind that, a story that I could follow, somebody I could count on for future videos as well. So I thought maybe I would be able to provide that to people. And so I made my very first video. And shortly after that, made another one and another one and another one. I was making about one video every couple of weeks and moved that into every week, guaranteed in the summer, and then every week and a half or so during the winter, because there was only so much to film here being in southeastern Wisconsin. Then I moved that even tighter to a couple of times a week. The pandemic, the coof hit, and we were doing a video every single day for 60 days straight here on the channel. And that taught me so much about not only YouTube, but about gardening as well, because I was pushing myself in the garden like I never had before. And it was such a blessing to do that in my life. And now we're steadily making 2 videos a week, plus we've got a couple of shorts. We now have an active Instagram, active Facebook, active TikTok. Again, you can find all of those over on our website here, Expedition Homestead, right on the bottom of home. I will probably make like a social tab at some point in the future describing what sort of content we share on these platforms specifically, because they are different. Facebook gets a lot more of our personal photos and photos of the garden and our harvest and how our garden is growing overall. You'll get that on Facebook. Instagram Reels, it's going to be short video content. Same with TikTok, short video content over there. And then, of course, we've got YouTube Shorts as well. Any questions, drop them in the chat. We will get to them for sure. We have some friends who... It's like awkward. Do I look into the camera when I'm drinking the coffee? Or do I not? I don't know. We have some friends who were living in Ukraine for about 16 years as missionaries and pastors for the Assembly of God Church. And incredible people. They always tell me that, hey, you would do so well in Ukraine because everybody grows their own little garden there. Everybody grows vegetables. Everybody knows the traditions that have been passed down. You can go to the market and buy pounds and pounds of vegetables for pennies compared to the U.S. here, where about I think the numbers are 0.5% of our population is growing a garden. Vegetables, some sort of food for the family. If that is true, that is a little bit scary because those numbers are not sustainable if things were ever to go south. But I am slightly envious of those who have so many other gardeners around them, because honestly, there ain't too many. One of the things, the initiatives, I guess, that we're taking on this channel over the next couple of months is to start doing more tours with local gardeners, local gardens, local farms, local all kinds of things. Anything that we can get our hands on having to do with gardening, then botanical gardens, bookworm gardens here in Sheboygan, all that kind of stuff. We are trying to get in contact with as many people as we can to start sharing how many people are around locally doing it. And then hopefully through our efforts, we're able to get just more normal, everyday, you and me kind of people who garden in their backyard for vegetables for their own family. So I want to be able to share the stories that they have as well, because I think there's a lot of valuable information that we don't want to get lost in some way, shape, or form. And through highlighting those stories, I think we can achieve that. Just one of our goals over the next several months from here on out. And, obviously that's going to continue to the end of ages of this channel. And hopefully maybe when I die, my family will take over the channel or something like that in the future. Would be cool. I hope to leave behind a legacy of gardeners, a legacy of people who are passionate about growing, passionate about what they're doing in the garden. It's so much more than just growing some plants. It's so much more than just growing some vegetables. That's for sure. I feel like I'm going to get all sappy. Got your questions? Drop them in the chat. Show you guys a little bit of YouTube back office right now. we haven't done a ton of live videos in the past, but we do want to start doing them on a regular basis now. Hopefully you all enjoy this as well. I want to get some more questions answered. I want to get some more people following us on a regular basis. So we've got 7 people watching right now. Thank you so much for tuning into the live stream. I really, really appreciate it. These videos are about developing a community and start establishing some relationships with each other. So we can check in with our gardens. I can answer questions that you have about mine and or questions you have about yours. I'd be more than happy to get to all of them. I want to show you just how powerful the YouTube algorithm is, and also why it's going to show us and illustrate us why these live streams are so important as well. The YouTube algorithm can do something like this. We've got a short up to 30,000, almost 31,000 views per day right there at the peak of it, and then goes down to we're getting 11, 20, 30 views per hour. The YouTube algorithm can do this if it would like to, and it can also create long-term success for videos like this, or it can shut off a video like this. Why am I talking about this? Well, the thing the YouTube algorithm cannot do is it can't tell you who your community is. So that's why I'm pouring out as much as I can for the community in the next, over the future of the channel. I think it is absolutely where it's at. So if any of y'all got any questions here, we will get to them. Otherwise, we will cut the chat for the night. We've had some beautiful weather lately. Beautiful. Plenty of rain, nice warm weather too. I've had to water the garden just a handful of times so far. So we've been blessed this year for a garden for sure. Especially as in terms of how much it actually takes to maintain here. 8 viewers, give us a thumbs up and drop a question in the chat if you have any on your mind. Otherwise, let me know what you ate for breakfast this morning, lunch or dinner, depending on where you are at. Just trying to get some questions here for you all while I am here. Let you all know you can join the channel if you would like to become a direct supporter of this channel and what we're doing and what we're play a tune before you go. Can do. I can start playing tunes pretty soon here. You can be a direct member, a direct supporter of this channel by becoming a member. It also enables you for a couple of cool bonuses, some special emojis for during these live streams that will be highlighted in your name. I think you will be a part of the green name clan. So people know that you are a supporter, and I would thank you so much for that. Give me a second, then I'll grab the guitar. There we go. We got a question. Ooh, hot dogger. We got a question. How to keep houseplants healthy in a cool basement environment. If I could take this desktop and take you down in my basement, I would show you exactly how to do that, because we do that. What we do is mostly, I would say, transition their watering pattern. So I will water them less in the basement than we would think we would have to. So if we would water these plants like every 2 weeks upstairs here, we would water them downstairs every 2.5 weeks or something like that. What's a good vegetable to grow with extreme heat? Ooh, there is a whole giant list of vegetables. So if you go up and search summer crops, you'll find all of the summer crops that you can grow. There's a plethora of plants. The very best ones that we grow consistently here in the garden is going to be beans, tomatoes, cucumbers usually do pretty good. Not root crops. Stay away from those. But Google it and you'll get a list of maybe 45 different vegetables that you can grow. Any other questions? Drop them in the chat. Now's your chance. Checkers X, the everything chick, Matt Can, Heather Hartkoff, TMJ Serta. Thank you guys all so much for your comments. You know, I don't usually play guitar in this tuning. I used to fool around with it a lot. I don't even know what it is. The Everything Chick, thank you. Enjoying your channel. I really appreciate it. Glad you're enjoying the channel. Try and put out all sorts of content for everybody. The whole family. We are a friendly family friendly YouTube channel. And of course, we are a family of 5. Me, my wife, my oldest son, which is 5, daughter, just about to be 3, and my youngest, my son, is about 16 months. So, full house here. Me and my wife were sitting at the table today, eating a few hours ago, and the kids were gone. My mother-in-law had the kids. She was watching them because Katie's got a couple of things she's doing tonight. And we were sitting there just thinking of how much different this is going to be when both, you know, our kids are in school, and also in 16 years from now and 14 years from now, our kids moving out. You know, it's like, it's pretty crazy. We're just so used to all this chaos happening all the time. Me working a full-time job, and also just like growing as much as we can, and raising kids, because raising kids is not easy. It's a journey, and it's so much fun. It is such a blessing, but it's difficult. It's difficult. 9 viewers. Drop your comments in the section down below and I will get to them ASAP. My zucchini plants never produced any zucchini. Any idea why or what I can do? Pollination can be tricky sometimes, especially if just the conditions are not right. If they're not ideal, there can be problems with zucchini plants and your flowers. So also another thing that can interrupt the growth of your zucchinis overall is just going to be, so say we get like lots of rain, hot temperature, lots of rain, hot temperature. Mix in some pests along with that, and it's very easy to just not have any zucchini flowers that produce. Anything you can do, just keep on letting that zucchini grow. Depending, I don't know where you're at, or if you can plant a crop of zucchini right now. In some places you could be doing that. You could be growing zucchini right now. Just get your seeds out there and germinate it before it's too late. You are in Wisconsin. It's probably going to be too late to put seeds out for zucchini. I'm sorry. My dad uses a toothbrush to pollinate his tomatoes. Yes. Use a vibrating toothbrush or a non-vibrating toothbrush. Just like get in there, or a Q-tip or something like that. Just helping the plants along is all we're doing. That can give you, pretty much surefire way of pollinating your plants right there. That'll do it. I'm sorry for you. Any suggestions on how to rid my whole yard of Japanese beetles? They're decimating my entire yard. Oh, man. Japanese beetles. They're the worst. What you can do, the best thing for you, is not going to be to squash them. I'm sure you know this already. But get a non-poisonous trap that's going to attract those Japanese beetles, and just do it. I know what some people say. Don't do it. You're going to be attracting beetles. The thing is, these beetles are going to be directly attracted to that trap. You're going to kill them. We're going to overall make more of an impact on the grasp that these disgusting beetles have on the environment by trapping them and feeding them to your chickens. If you have chickens. I hope you do, because chickens are the best. I can never eat all the chicken eggs we have. Out of 5 chickens. Produce too many eggs, for sure. Thank you. You're welcome. My pleasure. That's what we do these live streams for, is to get to your questions. So if you've got a question, Drop it in the chat below. Kind of like that. Nope. Nope. That might sound like garbage through the microphone anyways. Any more questions? Let's get to them before we end this live stream. We're going on 1 hour and 5 minutes. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in to the live stream. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully you are getting some value to this. I wish that maybe let me know. I don't know if this is a good time for you or a bad time for you. If there's any reason why 5:30 on Thursdays is the worst time. If I get a bunch of feedback saying that it should not be Thursdays at 5:30 and maybe a little bit later or earlier, we'll figure that out. Any other questions? Any advice on how to cheaply heat and extend my greenhouse plant growth? So we're probably, we could be talking about both spring and fall, whatever it might be. A good tape down on that greenhouse if you've got the paneling. So like run some tape wherever you can on that and then wrap it in bubble wrap. Bubble wrap that whole thing. So if you do that, and also if you have an area where you can put big barrels of water, black barrels of water, that is going to act as a heat sink. Not as cheap, but you could get, I mean, some places are giving away the free water barrels, the blue ones, you know what I'm talking about. And you could paint that black, put that in there. That's what you could do. All right. Be right back. Gotta go pee. Be right back. Back again. I always laugh when I'm watching YouTube live streams and somebody goes to the bathroom suspiciously fast. It's like something doesn't add up here. Hello from New York, New York. Well, I shouldn't say that. Hello from New York. Hello, Lisa. Thank you so much for tuning in. Right now, we're just getting to any questions you all might have. We've had a pretty eventful live stream so far. Just gone through a lot of information, a lot of future stuff with the channel and here what our mission is. And now we're just trying to get into some chat questions. I've got answers. If you've got questions, drop them down below. We're looking at signing off in a bit here, but I really wanted to stick around as long as I can for those of you who do have questions, because I know you're out there. I do all kinds of gardening, indoors, outdoors, flowers, perennials, trees, pruning, everything, propagating everything I can. We've got grow beds downstairs in the basement. We've got potted plants throughout the entire house. Like this one here. And then this one over here. If you get UK viewers, earlier might be better. Let's look and see, shall we? We can do that. Audience. See more. Geography. UK, United Kingdom, counts for 7.4% of our views. I wonder if I can click on this and see subscribe. Nope. Most of them from England, Scotland, Wales. That's where y'all got those water hose bans. It's crazy. That's some crazy stuff. Boop. And we're back. Grow beds in the basement. You want to hear about that? Let's talk about that. Back over to the channel. I won't do this. I'll just put it on here. There. All right. This right here. This is a I think it's McNally super tub. I've got all of the McCourt's super tub. I've got all of the links to this down in the description of this video. If you go on my channel or search indoor raised garden bed expedition homestead, whatever you're searching for on YouTube, if you just type in our channel name behind it, you will see if we've got a video on it or not. I really appreciate it. But here we made this grow bed indoors, and we're going to start growing our seedlings for flowers down there. And then we'll also be growing some tubers. We're also going to be growing some tubers from our dahlias, gladiolas, stuff like that down in those grow beds. Possibly some vegetables in the future. Not totally sure. How are my grow beds doing in the basement? Yeah, perfect question. Good timing. They are doing well. So flower seeds do take a long time to germinate, so we're going on just a couple of weeks with those grow beds in the basement. I'm hoping that our Ligularia seeds will be sprouting in the next week or two. And from there, we've also got some milkweed and some dahlia seeds growing down there. And so hopefully those all sprout okay. I know I can get seeds to germinate down there even though it is cold in the basement. It's definitely sub 70. I would bet that it's probably about 68 degrees, maybe a little warmer, a little colder. But I germinate all my vegetable seeds down there, so I think the flower seeds will also germinate just fine. So very excited for that. It's going to give us lots of stuff to do this winter for content here on the channel and for us as a family as well. Sarah, it's a party. Woo! Thank you so much. We got 8 viewers. Guys, hit that thumbs up button if you love what we've got going on here on the channel. And if you don't know what we've got going on in the channel, I'll tell you, it's an awful lot of gardening. I know that much. You should definitely check us out. Stay engaged with the community as well. Any other questions here? I'll give you guys a few more minutes. I will keep on rolling as we get questions, but get a couple more minutes. If we don't have any questions, I will sign out for the night. Peace out. But if any of you 8 viewers have a question, drop it down below. How do you like my cheap Amazon headset? I think I got this sent to me like years ago when I was making content for a different channel. I should probably upgrade, do something better. Will you do an updated video of my grow beds? Of course, yes. We've been so busy, extremely busy. We will be doing an update video though. Probably recording it over the weekend and posting within the next week. My corn is looking sad. Any corn tips? Lots of fertilizer, organic fertilizer, i.e. compost. Lots of that. Some decent soil. Otherwise, corn should just grow. I haven't grown too much corn, to be honest. Not that much. I'm not a huge fan of it. But my son loves growing corn, and that's why we grow tiny little patches of it. What are your thoughts on diatomaceous earth for deworming chickens? I don't know. I do think that would be fine. I think that's a viable option. Assuming that is not harmful for the chickens. I'm not sure if it is because, you know, there's some weird things like that. Oh, corn in a bed with a bottom. Yeah, that'll probably do it. For sure. That'll do it. So I think I'm going to have to do some research on this. Perhaps the everything chick. I could make a video on this in the near future. But I don't have time to do all the research right now. But I haven't had to use that for my chickens so far. Nope, haven't had to deworm my chickens, so I don't know. If anybody else has dewormed their chickens, though, feel free to reply to the everything chick. Is that the everything chick or the everything chick? The everything chick. Chicken? Just the chick that does everything. The everything chick. Let's check out her channel. Boop, 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 boop. Desktop. The everything chick. Like and subscribe. We're subscribing to you. Hello. Growing sweet corn from seed. Hi, everything chick. Here, this is tuning in live. Smiley face. See if they got if they have the farmer emoji. There we go. She got videos of corn on here. Set back to her channel. Corn from seeds, peace lily time lapse. Happy Earth Day. Earth Day, important day for sure. Thank you so much for subscribing. Absolutely. If any of you guys like have a channel, a YouTube channel of any sorts, I think we all provide value some way, shape, or form. Usually it's through stories. So the Everything Chick, looking forward to your stories here on YouTube. She's got 6, 12, 18. Does it say how many? About? I forget how to do that. 2,000 views. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Almost 60 videos here on the Everything Chicks channel. Christmas cactus. Hey, did you learn that from me? 4-week-old. Awesome. Good stuff. Baby chicks. Updates on those chickens as well. Outer space hedgehog. It looks like you're niching down a little bit. So keep the chickens, keep the plants. Obviously, do whatever you're passionate about. If you've got way more passion in chickens, feature a bias towards those chickens. If you like growing the plants more, have a bias towards those. Whatever you love doing, keep on making the videos. Do I have a favorite houseplant right now? Yeah, I do. Let me go get it. That's just an oldie but a goodie. You asked. Oh. This is a balancing act. I can't do this. Oh. This is our ZZ plant. It's probably my favorite one that we have, for sure. Probably my favorite houseplant that I have. Not because it's rare or special. It's my favorite houseplant because it's easy to grow. It's beautiful. I think it has great looking foliage. And that's why. It doesn't need a lot of light either. It's got this thing checks off all of the boxes. Doesn't need a lot of watering. Doesn't need a lot of fertilizer. Nothing. And it might seem that they grow slow for the first couple of years, and they do. First year they sleep. Second year they creep. And third year they leap. If you go back a few years ago to this ZZ plant, it was much smaller. Much, much smaller. And it's getting big now. All right, I'm going to put this back. There you go. That's the ZZ plant. My other favorite ZZ Zemiciflora. I'm gonna butcher it, so we're just gonna do the old desktop trick. Googs, hey Googs, ZZ plant. Zanzibar, Zamioculcas, colcus. Close. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Zamioculus? Close? Zamifolia. ZZ plant. So, too hard to pronounce words. Right there. That's what the ZZ plant is. I love it. It's long. It sure is. But remember, folks, don't let your cucumbers get too long or too big, because that's going to send premature signals to our plant that it's time to go dormant. If you haven't watched our latest short, that's what that is all about. Went semi-viral for a couple of days, so that was fun. Only to be struck down by the infamous YouTube algorithm. Mine came in the straw-like soil, and I don't know if to put it in soil or leave it like that. Probably talking about the ZZ plant. Straw-like soil. It should have been in like a very coconut core rich soil. If it's right. Like Matt is saying, it could be coconut husk or cocoa core. That's usually what these big producers grow them in. And so if it's not in that and it's in a soil that is way too dense, that's not going to be good for your ZZ plant. You want a really, really loamy, soft soil for them to grow into, which is why cocoa core is one of the most popular choices for that. Can you grow it in regular soil? You bet you can. You can do whatever you want. I think it is coconut husk. Should I leave it? Yeah, leave it. Leave it until that. So you saw how big of a plant we had packed into that little pot. That pot's almost a little too big for it. So leave it growing in your pot until you would say, like, this thing has got to be root bound, or if it's sticking roots all throughout the bottom of whatever container you're growing it in. Then you can repot it at that point, following the recommended soil mixture. So soil that's very high in cocoa core. Cheese plant is doing very well in it. Yep. Cheese plants, monsteras, those will do very good in that as well. Andreanaceae, that's how you pronounce it. Those also do very well. Just all kinds of them. Any other questions? We will get to them. I love making YouTube videos. I will be doing it forever. Just so on the record, you people who are watching this right now, I'll be doing this forever. I love doing it. Do you have Calatheas? I'm liking those a lot lately. Yes. I do have Calatheas. Oh gosh. Excuse me. It'll bounce back, I promise. I think this is a Calathea. Is it? I don't think that is. That's not a Calathea. I don't have my rattlesnake plant anymore. I think that's a Calathea. No, that's not a Calathea either. It looks like one. I don't have any right now. I have alocasias. Yeah, that plant, it'll bounce back, trust me. I know how to put plants on the edge of death, only to bring them back. They want to grow. They're trying to grow. Any other questions, guys? Questions? Drop them in the chat down below. Plants on the edge of death, only to bring them back. They want to grow. They're trying to grow. I always worry about those having the perfect amount of water. Hey, I tell you what, Gracie, Glue, don't worry about it. Don't do it. It'll be okay. If you don't have the perfect amount of water, it'll be okay. Just keep growing. Just keep learning. But don't let it worry you. I know you're saying that figuratively, probably. Yes, Calatheas are tricky, hence likely why I don't have one. But if we go back, let's time travel here. Oops. Right here. This is our Rattlesnake Calathea. Loved it. Beautiful plant. It moved so much, like the leaves would fold up and flare out and then contract and all that cool stuff. Very pretty plant as well. That's a rattlesnake plant, Calathea. Yes, very tricky, hard to grow, difficult. It seems like it was always fussy. And I would agree with you there. But don't worry about it. Don't worry. All right. Final questions here. Let's get to them. Bring them out if you got them. We're going to answer them. Otherwise, we're going to move on and close out our night here. Make sure you, before you guys head out, or if you're watching this on the replay, to give us a like, thumbs up, and subscribe. Comment on all sorts of other videos as well. I like keeping my houseplants in small 4-inch pots. If the roots get too big, I could just trim the roots or continue to keep it. Oh boy. 4-inch pots is pretty small. Pretty small. And when a plant is getting too big and the roots are starting to shoot out of it, that even though if we're air pruning the roots or if we're pruning them at all, not necessarily air pruning, it's still going to get to the point where that plant is too big for that pot. So a 4-inch pot is just going to be overall a little bit limiting as far as what you're growing. Obviously, you just got to use common sense when figuring out if your plant is too big or not, or figure out if your plant likes being root bound or can deal with it. So, like, you can grow a giant pothos in a pretty small pot. The same thing with the ZZ plant. Same thing with Sansevieria. You can grow all of those in relatively small pots that it's not going to cause any sort of trouble for it unless it is just way, way too big. In which case it's going to be obvious because it's going to be busting the pot apart if it's plastic, or sometimes breaking ceramic pots as well. So if your plant's getting too big, it might be just time to get a new size pot, especially if you haven't done it in a couple of years. Also, separating out is a great way to do that. So I'm going to do that with that ZZ plant once it gets a little bit bigger. I will propagate that out and divide it. Plant division is fun, everybody. All right. I think that's it. I want to thank you all so much for tuning into the channel, checking us out. If you haven't ever done that before, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it. What we do here is grow and build your passion for growing through simple yet effective and affordable means of bringing better harvest and more beauty to your garden overall. So with that being said, checking out for the day. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Happy gardening, and we'll see you next week, Thursday, at approximately